welcome to another edition of State Farm Neighborhood Tactics, where today I'm going to be going over the best thing in League of Legends, minion wave management, and also some of TSM's cross-map trading. I'm going to be going over this kind of controversial inhibitor take, explaining a little bit of TSM's thought process during it, and how they are actually a pretty thoughtful team when it comes to cross-map trades, despite the fact that with this particular play, they don't come out ahead on it. So we're gonna roll the clip, and what's going on here is that C9 are sieging mid, while Fudge is actually gonna get this entire turret bot side, which is great for him because he's kind of been a little bit behind in this game because TSM did end up pressuring top side previously. Now this, the big inhibitor, the thing that we're gonna be talking about, the thing that was so controversial to take, the reason why inhibitor take like this is generally so discussed as potentially a bad thing is because, especially when it's taken on this side, the main priority objective at this point in the game is almost always going to be the Baron, and it is really hard to get Baron pressure and cross map that pressure if the super minions are going to be heading in and automatically pushing on this side, which means that if TSM want to cross map, they're gonna have to look for objectives on this side of the map. And C9, as we're going to see, always have someone up here who's gonna be collecting all of that experience. So we're gonna go back and see how this plays out by counting out some of these minion waves that Fudge is actually going to end up taking up topside. And now, like I said earlier on in this game, Fudge and Perks actually do get set behind. Huni actually gets ahead, and they're able to transfer that pressure mid, where Sword Art and Huni were both using that to kill Perks. And so guess who ends up getting these waves? Perks gets that first super minion wave. Fudge had already cleared out the wave previously. And in the meantime, TSM do recognize, okay, we have pressure topside. We can pressure the bot side of the map, which is good. They do recognize where this gives them leverage on the map. And they do end up taking this tier 2 turret together. Meanwhile, guess who's still getting gold and XP? Hey, it's Fudge. He's still ramping up because of all of this XP and all of these minions they're getting shoved his way that they're sending him up to catch. So this is actually ends up being really great for C9 because it actively gets Fudge not only back in the game, but in a really good spot to be affecting the rest of the map. Now TSM do end up taking that Drake, which is actually also really smart because, again, they have topside pressure automatically. Someone has to catch those waves, so they are looking for stuff on the bot side of the map. And now Huni is going to go siege on the bot side. They're going to have this kind of 4-1 setup where the rest of TSM is going to be looking at setting up for the Baron while they're still having wave shove in on the top side. Now, the big thing here is that we do not know where Blabber is, which means that even though Huni has these wards here, he is still pushed up to the point where it's pretty easy for Blabber to come in and gank him. So guess what is about to happen? He's gonna get into a little bit of scrap with Fudge, and guess who shows up? It's Blabber. And this is actually where Blabber really also ended up kind of making a lot of plays for C9 and getting them back into the game. So Huni is automatically dead. TSM recognized that they can go for Baron at this point because the jungler is on the bot side of the map, but they're definitely not able to fully flesh this out because C9 know exactly what's going on. And at the end of this entire run of play, despite the fact that I do think TSM were actually pretty thoughtful about where they could get pressure elsewhere on the map while they had all that topside pressure from taking the inhibitor, guess who made up 1K gold? It's C9 because they're catching all those minion waves. And now I'm gonna hand it over to the State Farm analyst desk to get us in the game for TSM, the team we just saw here, and Counter Logic Gaming.
Thank you very much, Emily. Very cool to see a breakdown like that around the macro strategies of the teams, both good and bad, right? You know, you see both sides of that same argument for either taking or not taking the inhibitor that early on in the game, while strategically there was a reason for TSM to do it in a way they could flex that pressure on the top side into something. Unfortunately, they didn't get enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the decision-making process when you're going for something like that, being like, okay, how important is the Drake Soul build-up? If it's Cloud Soul, and if you can't really get anything on the opposite side of the map, then for sure, like, you can forego that. But in that's like a great example there for that.
Yeah, and I think Emily sort of demonstrated the nuance of the game. It's not so much what the decision you make, but how you support the decision in your follow-up decisions sometimes.
Well, so TSM has another challenge today as they go up against CLG. It is important to note that if they're able to take the win here in this game, they will lock in the first seed and the #1 spot here in the regular season.
At the tippity top.
At the tippity top. Unfortunately for CLG, they are already mathematically eliminated from playoff contention as a result of the way that three-way tie breaks do break down mathematically. They don't own the head-to-head, or at least the same number of wins as both FlyQuest and Golden Guardians when it comes to that. But I do want to talk about TSM ultimately in the way that they've approached the game more recently. I mean, they've looked good. They've had good control over a number of their games.
Yeah, and they've looked good in a way that's different from how they looked good prior. You know, we see them on picks like Cassiopeia that have a little bit more lane presence and lane pressure. We see them picking Orianna into the Zoe matchup versus Perks and sending Sword consistently mid lane to get advantages by going for proactive plays oriented around movement and shifting pressure from other parts of the map. So this is what you want to see from TSM. You don't necessarily have to play different champions to have a different style. You can play the same comps, but make different decisions early game around where you place your support, where you place your jungler. So I am liking this look from TSM.
Exactly. Like the two things that you kind of just already touched on was the fact that the meta is moving in a direction where it already benefits Power of Evil and the level of play that he has. So this is already a great thing that they kind of walked into. And another thing as well is like hearing from TSM content, you know, Power of Evil is really happy with how they're playing around mid lane. So like that has really benefited them. Another thing to kind of mention as well, when they went up against 100 Thieves, I thought their bot lane, or at least like the team really plays well around Spica. Spica's been performing all split long, and then when he was going for that, you know, invade because there was cross mapping and he was contested against, like bot lane was already moving. So these things, there is no miscommunication whatsoever from TSM's side. It's great to see where they're at going into playoffs.
I will say I would be worried if any team under the tutelage of Bjergsen didn't know how to play around mid.
True.
Right?
You're gonna get
that would be a problem. Luckily, they know what they're doing. And we take a look over at the CLG side of things. Again, as I mentioned, they are eliminated from playoffs already, which is unfortunate. But I think that then the conversation becomes, Kaizen, a conversation we've had before in the past, which is what is the path forward? What does the future look like for this squad? And I think Damonte is one of those players that I look like. He came in late, but this has been a guy that we've talked about on multiple different organizations about how to build around him properly. What kind of a star can this guy be?
Yeah, I think it's been a damn good showing for Damonte, right? Because you look at this team in CLG where it felt like they didn't have that much direction. It didn't really feel like they had that much activity. And Damonte comes in and brings in a completely different dimension to their playstyle with the roaming, you know, picks like the TF and the Rise. And this is not a surprise. It's what we associated him with. But for him to come into a bottom team and still be able to manufacture that style pretty much individually speaks volumes for him as a player. Well,
TSM wanting to lock up that first seed right here, right now. They'll have to do it against CLG. We'll see if Damonte and the squad can disrupt that goal here on the Rift. Back over to Pastry Time and Azael for the call.
Azael time.
Azael time, baby.
Welcome back to the cast today. So we're going to jump into champion select in only a moment, but while all that ready's up, we're getting ready to give a new Rocket mouse and keyboard to someone in our community. Well, thank you as always to everyone actually who's hanging out with us on Twitter and Reddit during our final week of the regular season. And an extra special thank you to Twitter user Illegal Biker for posting along with the action and letting us share with everyone here on broadcast. We'll be sending a new Rocket mouse and keyboard your way. And thank you, Illegal Biker, for your lightning fast response to our producers. That's what you love to see.
Get one of these bad boys.
Hope you're doing new peripherals. And thank you for saving us from having to beg you to respond when we're on air, because personally, I'm sick of doing that. So big fan.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, we are going to be heading into this champion select. I am excited for this one just to see if TSM can actually keep up their improving form. They have been looking better and better. You know, EG dropped the game. They beat 100 Thieves. It feels like 100 Thieves has fallen off. You know, TSM trying to go into playoffs as the best team, as the team that is at the top of the standings. CLG are down in 10th and not going to be able to get into playoffs now. They are 3 games back with 2 games remaining, so there's no tiebreaker situation. There's nothing available for them with FlyQuest sitting at 14 wins, CLG at 11.
So that
TSM
means...
looking to lock first. So that means CLG win.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Congratulations.
It feels like definitely a game that might haunt TSM if the results for the
definitely a fat dub.
less predicted way. Draft already underway, by the way. We'll quickly recap: Renekton, Syndra, Viego on the CLG ban squad, TF, Aurelia, Lee Sin, and then Xin Zhao, who's been giving away a bit more than usual, which is ever versus never if you're playing at home. But TSM respond with Olaf and Kalista.
Yep, going to be letting that through. As you say, it's been coming out more. People are more willing to actually trade it for Diana. Some teams are really having a high prio on Olaf as well, so feeling comfortable to actually make that trade as another option. The ban on TF makes sense. Damonte had a good game on it. All the highlights of Damonte being proactive that we just watched on the desk, guess what? He was playing TS, so take that away. Take away CLG's ability to play heavily towards those side lanes. Rumble would be interesting. Haven't seen it actually in a while, but not going to get it. Thresh plus Aphelios, one of those primo bot lanes right now. It gives them scaling. It gives them late game. You kind of have this powerful early game jungler. You have gank assist with that Thresh who can move, who can push, who can set up your jungler. Can be a pretty nice setup, and I'm going to be curious to see if support gets picked here or if TSM want to go for one of their solo lanes and then kind of ban to protect it. I think that can always be a pretty strong strategy, especially when Thresh is already gone. I honestly feel like you don't really care which engaged support you get. It's like you could have Leona or Nautilus or Alistar. Who cares? They're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter to me, and that's why I actually like just delaying support pick here. If Orianna is what you feel is going to pair best, because let's be honest, we are assuming there's going to be an engaged support alongside the Kalista, right? So what control mage will work best with hard engaged support? Well, Orianna. Power Reveal is also very comfortable on it. So you pick it here, you ban out the champions that he's not comfortable playing against, and you set yourself up for a winning composition here, very, very well in the draft. And I like that foresight, because I think too many people are actually highly prioritizing this kind of jumble of engaged supports that are basically all the same champion.
Yeah, true. So I like where TSM are going. Definitely Coach Bjergsen knows how to do this. Yes, I will pick Orianna and ban 2 mid laners in phase 2.
Knows how to pick Orianna.
Yep.
That's a winning combo right there for PoE.
All right, well, there's LeBlanc banned away for TSM to continue that trend. Jace going to be banned on the other side. Looks like some solo lane / top lane attention being given, unless Top Aphelios is going to jump his way from Masterminds into the LCS.
No,
yes,
he is not.
That's not going to happen. That's not. Rise ban, I like that one as well there. Damonte also showing up on that. Champion does have similar shades to, what Twisted Fate wants to do in the game as well. So get him out of there.
And it basically feels like 4 mid lane bans. Yes, Aurelia can be flex top, but realistically, it's basically played mid lane. There are some players that are playing it top, but in competitive, it's been pretty popular mid, especially in the LCS. So a lot of targeting towards Damonte. It's very clear that TSM sees him as the threat, him as that kind of X factor, and I think that is a pretty good ban. Leona will be taken away, Jace will be taken away. Huni has been really good in the side lanes, and with some of the side lane answers like the Rise and the TF banned out, I think they're less comfortable to give that over. Leona, what they consider to be the best pairing remaining with that Kalista, but again, there's Alistar, there's Rakan, there's Nautilus, there's a lot of options here that they can pair up alongside that Kalista and try to play aggressive. And this is one of the best ones for being that kind of shockwave delivery service, right? Slap the ball onto the Rakan, he goes in, he's that extra summoner spell for you, and he's going to put that right on top of Aphelios' head. Power Evil's going to try to press R, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Again, just continuing to draft around the mid laner. It's almost like they're harkening back to their original name, as GP looks to be the pick lined up here for Finn. Do agree on Aurelia top lane. I think it would be a lot better if you can guarantee the enemy jungler has lost their peripherals. But if you cannot do that, definitely gets kind of tricky in the long lane when you pretty much have to push and play aggressive in order to get stuff done. But GP the pick there. We'll see what TSM line up against it, but CLG are going to have to finish their draft. And the question will be answered. What does Damonte want to play against Orianna? Lulu.
Oh, okay. So it's really not going to be about him. It's like they're banning out all these playmakers, all these side laners. Lulu is a champion that can just be fine in lane, but it's much more about actually facilitating the Aphelios, about buffing up the Xin. The early game is likely going to be about the mid-jungle pairing, buffing up the Xin Zhao, trying to get Brox into a winning position. The late game, it really just turns into protect Wild Turtle at all costs, And they do have a pretty powerful 5v5 here. If you're trying to actually disengage, if we do see TSM going in, hard engaging onto CLG, you drop the GP ulti, you have Xin Zhao in the front with his ult up, you have the wild growth, you have the ability to actually peel back with the lantern, the box to mix things up as well. So it's a lot of stuff for CLG to actually fight through. I will say I'm kind of surprised by the TK. The Tahm Kench does feel like a little bit out of place here to me. Generally speaking, GP farms just fine against Tahm Kench and is going to be pretty happy sitting in that soul lane. If GP tries to brawl with Tahm Kench, you do have the ability to really punish that and try to look for kills. But generally speaking, it's not going to be a dominant matchup, so it just kind of seems like what they believe to be the best frontliner right now. He is going to be able to try to dive into the backline with that the burrow, whatever you want to call it, the dive, whatever, into the backline with the Rakan. So we'll have the ability to do that, but is a bit atypical for what we normally see Huni play, and does leave them pretty reliant on the Olaf as well as the Kalista for damage. Because Tahm Kench can put out a lot of damage, but generally against teams that are pushing forward into you rather than teams are cutting back. And I really do expect CLG to be playing much more kite back, where Tahm Kench can actually struggle to stick on his opponents and really get out a lot of damage.
I'm also assuming, and it's an assumption because I haven't tested it yet, that Tahm Kench can retain the ball in the dive. Which could
as
be
long
very,
as he doesn't go too far, he should.
Oh, that's true. There is a tether angel on the ball for everyone playing at home. So that could be fun. Kind of the subterranean ball delivery service. I mean, again, like, not to harken the point too much.
Look at Sword Art. I think he's going to do a W over the wall and then try to wrap around. Oh, okay, never mind. So what they were actually looking for here, I like this level 1. Nothing happened, but, excuse me, I'll put that down. So they were hoping that they walk through the tri-brush here, and then the player actually retreats here, Sword Art comes over the wall there, and you kill Mr. Buddy who's running right to there. So, like, this is actually a pretty smart level 1. If someone is in that tri-brush, the way they're entering from that right side will likely push you back into Sword Art. Probably they react and flash, but hey, you got a free flash, and what's the real risk here? It's very, very low, so unless they're 5 stacked in the tri-brush, you're pretty much chilling and nothing happens from it. But anytime I see a pre-planned level 1 that clearly has some foresight, clearly has been kind of thought out, I'm all for it, man, because just showing a couple of those every once in a while really makes teams have to respect what you are doing. There are some teams that get taken advantage of because all they do is line of scrimmage, or all they do is the same level 1 invade on one side of the map, and teams can actually learn these tendencies and set up defensive 5 stacks or set up aggressive invades that can really punish. So mixing it up, always a plus.
Yeah, I think doing your homework is something that maybe not enough teams do.
Yeah. And
you can definitely get advantages at level 1 just by understanding what your opponent typically do and finding a counter to it. Were we the ones that cast like back-to-back days of people like 4-manning up through a choke and there just happened to be no one there? And I'm like, well, I guess they've done their homework because this team apparently never stands here.
Yeah, very well might have been us. And I mean, pro tip, it's pretty easy to actually study level 1s. Literally open up every VOD of a team, screenshot the minimap at level 1, and then compare.
Yep.
Like that's it. That's all it takes. It's not really that difficult. It's one of the least time-intensive bits of prep that you can actually do for an opponent.
It is, and now next time we see that one, you know what we'll see? We'll see the 5-stack in the tri-brush to punish the potential play, which is when it gets really fun. It's Finn here on the top side, bouncing the barrels alongside Huni. Huni is going to have not a very fun time in the early levels, but should be just fine as things move on. I will point out, Gangplank is actually someone that builds Serpent's Fang quite a lot, and that will get a lot of mileage here in this game, and especially in this matchup.
Yeah, Tahm Kench, not one of the best last hitters under tower. You don't have enough damage to actually one auto the range minions after they get hit by tower. And generally, this makes it rough. I mean, he's getting hit by every barrel, every Q. Kind of getting pounded right now. Sword Art could be in some trouble, but should have the jump back, and they're looking for the punish. I mean, Finn is doing really well. He's very far up, but if he walks up to this wave and gets W'd on here by Huni, I think he's dead.
There's a W, good flash, but now Speaker's up here, finds the axe. And now the barrel's here. Huni's just got to not die, which is harder than it looks, but the barrel's going to be there. The thick skin is up, and that is first blood over as Demonte is charging in, but he's a Lulu! The Lulu man trying to get it done! Flashing in, looking for second blood, and there's the double for Speaker!
Of course it is Speaker. This man has been on a mission. And the perfectly timed comment there. Oh, the poor CLG fan on Reddit realizing his doom as soon as Speaker picked the Olaf, and here it is. Finn playing this out so aggressively. I don't know if he actually had a trinket ward available or if he, you know, just didn't use it or if it was dropped early and then expired. But either way, when you're pushing like this, you will get chased down. It was an appropriate flash. He had to do that. But by the time Damonte arrives, you just don't have the damage. And then the anticipation there from Huni actually flashing the Glitter Lance. I'm not sure Damonte would have had the damage to kill him. Actually, he maybe had the gray health. It would have been close. But without that landing, for sure, you do not kill him. So it's a nice flash there from Huni. Speak is going to get way ahead. It's not actually going to help Huni really in the 1v1 because he just got a couple assists and he's still down farm. So the one thing that it will do is if you can actually prevent GP from getting Sheen on his first base, the lane is so much more manageable. Like, every top laner knows if GP gets a free Sheen base his first time back, the lane is just not fun. Like, you are just going to get queued over and over. It's going to do so much damage. So at the very least, the call makes that a lot less threatening, and Huni will hopefully, for him, be able to get to a place where he can kind of withstand that onslaught.
Yeah, pretty much. Couldn't have asked for a better start to the game, though, if your speakers are off. So feeling good. Also, remember, Damonte lost TP for that play and got himself killed, so Power of Evil's going to also be happy with that situation.
That wave sucks for Huni, though. Like, that is pretty awkward. There are so many minions that there's no shot Finn actually holds like a permafreeze, but Huni will likely have to take damage to push it in, and you always have that little bit of nerves that, ooh, what if Zin's here? So that is why we are seeing TSM move up, and with the stacking wave, they're actually going to try to turn this into a dive. You can see Orianna moving up. Rakan is coming from base as well. They are trying to look for this aggressive play. It does not actually pan out because Broxa was there. But hey, at the very least, you cover Huni on the push, and at the most, you kill a GP with the stacked wave who has no teleport, and he wants to leave the game.
Yeah.
So, you know, the risk versus reward, pretty good there.
Yeah, not bad. Really nice coverage there from TSM. Even saw that roaming up to make that play, and PoE had plenty of time. Pretty free for him. Remember, he can come back to this lane at any point with the teleport, so he can play pretty loose as far as his lane initiative goes. And of course, he's Power of Evil, so he's going to want to farm every minion and push in every wave because, hey, he likes to be gold efficient. Now level 6 as well. Lulu's not too far behind, but PoE feeling good about how this game is developed thanks to Damonte's unfortunate TP.
Absolutely. I mean, that is something that we didn't even really talk about with it is the fact that when your opponent mid lane TP's top and you actually get a free reset, you fully push in the wave, you are going to be up farm, you're going to be sitting in such a comfortable position, even if something goes bad in the laning phase after that, which is unlikely, he's going to have TP available. And it also really heavily limits the playmaking for CLG. You know, if you try to get some sort of a counterplay and kill Tahm Kench, not only will it take you a really long time to actually kill him off, there's the ability for Power of Evil to TP in, to make something happen. So TSM kind of has run of the map right now, and they'll use it to take a very early dragon here, pre-7 minutes, get that Infernal. The soul is either going to be Cloud or Ocean. Both are honestly, I think, quite good for this team comp. Olaf in particular absolutely loves Cloud Soul. Rakan is very powerful with it as well. As you know, the travel time in your W is reduced by that move speed, so gonna be really nice.
I think that's the secret reason why Olaf is so good. Because when there's so many Cloud Souls, you're like, oh, it's perfect. This is exactly what I wanted.
So it's not about the early game and the dueling power.
It's about the late game.
It's about the late game Cloud Soul, I see.
Huni diving away. He has been a professional face tanker for much of this laning phase.
Professional diver?
Yeah, but today he's going to dive away from the enemy jungler. Finn, again, like, he's got his Sheen now. He's feeling comfy. Sword Art's going to bounce back away as Lost rips through Smoothie and Turtle with that Q. But otherwise, Turtle and Smoothie actually looking pretty good. They have pretty consistently been a strong duo bot lane, despite CLG's woes throughout this summer. But I will say, recently, Lost and Sword Art have been looking quite a bit better as a 2v2 as well.
Yeah, they've been doing better. You know, generally, I feel like Lost almost always is losing on farm, but, you know, he can perform well in the team fights. He's kind of that late game condition. And we've seen a lot of him being, you know, kind of sustainable on his own so that Sword Art can actually move, right? A lot of his Leona games, that I feel is his best champion. It's kind of what he's most known for. He has been very consistent about punishing mid, about moving towards those plays. You know, even on that potential dive top, he was actually moving out of base towards top. Of course, it didn't pan out, but he was looking for the play. And it's going to be more about the team fight for Rakan generally than the laning phase anyway. You know, Rakan is quite a weak laner in general, so when you're going up against Thresh of Felios, you may be on the back foot, but this is more of what I see as a compositional pick than like a 2v2 pick. Yeah,
for sure. Even though Callisto is very good in lane, definitely have to sacrifice a little bit here, given the 2v2 they're presenting with. Speaker was starting the Rift Tower, by the way, but he has decided that he will instead help Huni crash the wave and then revisit the objective, with Power of Evil also having the push happening. CLG maybe can reverse these waves quick enough to try and contest, but TSM very well set up for this objective.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. You know, they could look for the 3v3, but I think they're a little bit light on damage at this point. It's just an Iron Spike Whip on Broxa. I don't know that you can deal effectively here with this bench.
Just running interference, that's an easy Herald pickup. And again, Huni, professional tank, just goes ahead, gets in the way, and TSM get the Rift Herald.
And with that Kindle Gem, it's probably just Anathema's Chains Rush. She'll probably just link that up with Finn, swap it over to Turtle later on. I do think this is a really good team to actually have that item against, you know, later on in the game. Finn and Broxa do not want to be hitting Tahm Kench in a team fight. It's going to be a Felio shooting you, so that's very effective. When you're playing side lane, it's very effective as well against Finn. So it makes a lot of sense there as a rush. I'm expecting that to come through. And part of the problem here also, you know, on the CLG side is they're so heavily physical damage. You know, I am expecting Demonte to go a supportive style build, which basically means you have 0 AP. Like, you're just pure physical. So, you know, that is maybe an argument against Anathemas if you just want to stack armor early to be kind of extra efficient, because when you do go for that early, it doesn't have any defensive stats. It's just health and obviously the link.
Oh, actually good catch here onto Sword Art. Perhaps he's going to dash back. That W barely hit Broxa, and that's actually going to let Sword Art escape.
Oh, man, that's got to be frustrating for Broxa. I think if he held his charge just a split second longer after the W committed there, he would have at least gotten the flash from Sword Art and then maybe a flash follow to kill. Either way, well played by Sword Art. Speaking now, going to cover the dive. They know that CLG will look to try to get more. I think this is potentially a tough dive here for CLG, though, with Broxa here. He just doesn't have nearly as much power right now as Spica, who already has the Gore Drinker completed.
Yeah, I just think you can't dive at all.
Yeah.
So Spica, good coverage once again. Gonna make sure Lost doesn't fall under too much pressure. Sword Art did recall, so he's rushing back in. And Power of Evil, looking to make it happen. It is Swifty's Lulu, by the way. Not all that good in the 1v1. And there's the Shockwave back, good wild growth. Power of Evil's out of mana, so Demonte will live, but he's getting perma pushed in there, and I assume the Swifties mean he wants to leave the lane. Unfortunately, he is stuck under this tower.
So the Swifties are interesting. You know, my kind of like defense of them or understanding of why he would go for them is there's a tremendous amount of reliance on slows on the TSM side. You know, when you're looking over at Spica, Axis hitting you, the Tongue Lash from Tahm Kench, the Command Dissonance as well, like the slowdown from Orianna. So there are a lot of slows. It's going to make it actually very difficult to lock you down if you're having to answer a side lane. Very difficult to actually chase you down, and you can move around the map more effectively. There is a trade-off, of course, as you are giving up the potential for something like Lucidity, a little bit more on that supportive side, but I can definitely see the thought process with the early Swifties.
Doesn't look so good right now, but that's because he's been trapped in a 1v1 that doesn't feel very fun after TPing top lane. So maybe with the map opening up eventually, feel a bit better. Unfortunately for CLG, the map is opening up in the very wrong direction. That is a very early take on the mid-outer tower there for TSM. A Speaker committed the Herald for it, and now he's going to swoop in and take this Drake.
Yeah, and your job gets so hard as Lulu now when you don't have that tower to actually defend you, because the potential to actually get flanked. You know, the reason that people talk so much about mid lane turret being so important is with this area gone, all of a sudden, you know, these angles coming in from wraparound ganks become so dangerous. And you're trying to play like in this sort of area, collecting farm, and you just can't really safely do that. You know, Power of Evil is going to perma push you in. He has this bastion of safety, so there's not as much of an ability to actually turn around and play. And it's going to allow TSM to now just move into the jungle, take away the Raptors. And anytime they're playing in your jungle, you do not get to move out towards mid lane to actually collect that wave anymore.
And it is Olaf Rift once again. Ooh, Lost actually going to get gravity gunned up. There's a good ult from Finn, smoothly with the follow-up, and Lost is going to fall here. Yes, just barely. And then the Sword Art still Fates calls through. Shockwave is good, but Smoothie getting low, not dead just yet, though, as there's Huni going in. Power of Evil picks up one. Huni forcing a flash on the other side, as they will trade 1 for 1.
Yeah, it's a trade back and forth there. It was a great Shockwave from Power of Evil as he did arrive. TSM trying to push in, trying to actually look for a bit more here. But Finn is getting something on top side, so we'll have to see how many plates he does get. True damage plus Sheen, good combo here for actually knocking down turrets, turns out. And he will get a lot here. It was at actually the Anathema's rush from Huni. He TPs away from the lane, so Finn is going to be massively ahead. It's multiple waves lost. He was already behind, and now 3 tower plates on top. Plus, he got the cross-map assist with his ulti. So Finn's going to be sitting in a really good spot, actually, despite the early death. And we can watch this one more time. The GP ulti just used to try to set this up for the slow. This is warded out the whole time, and as soon as Lost comes down, it was just really the long con here. Setting up really nicely done. The ulti hit, it was just too late on the flash from Lost. He flashed after the R had hit him, so if Helios can root, GP ulti is dropped, the hook is guaranteed. They do get the initial kill, but the shockwave really turns things around, and that took so much health off of the CLG members that Turtle is pushed back. All the flashes are forced, and it ends up actually being a pretty costly play for CLG on that side. But cross-map, they got a lot done.
Yep, again, Finn going to be printing a bunch of money, which is important given that they have to keep this gold close. It is 2 dragons and 1,000 gold up for TSM. If there was any champion other than a kind of fed-ish Gangplank, or at least a Gangplank that's farming well, that gold number would be very different. Yeah. So Finn helping himself out a lot here, as he does need to kind of bridge the team through this mid-game.
Yep, and he's about to finish off his cull as well. So, I think Brox actually got that. Nicely done. Just going in, getting it, getting the lantern out. Once he completes that cull, he's going to get more of a cash out. Should have his mythic here already. Divine Sunderer, he's going to be winning that 1v1 pretty comfortably, and I do expect that Huni has actually, changed who he's leashed to. It's going to be more about the team fighting now, and given that, you kind of expect him to be looking towards Turtle and linking with that Aphelios.
All right, well, interesting 1v1 here. Demonte not quite level 11. So Power of Evil with the Leandry's finish is feeling real good in the 1v1. Doesn't have any additional shadow just yet. But looks like Sorda is going to do that job here, as Power of Evil probably expects someone to come to his lane. And Demonte is definitely killable here, 2v1. I mean, even on his own, Power of Evil is kind of getting the job done.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just bullying him relentlessly. He got the tier very early. He's been given the blue buffs, and Brock's looking for a play here. Nice GP ulti.
Yeah, nice shockwave as well. Power of Evil going to flash out now. Sorda has to get to safety. Indeed. WE to Power of Evil does get him out, and CLG look for the play, but do not get it.
Nice attempt. It does force the flash there from PoE, so he's going to have to play a little bit more defensively, but Demonte not really with the health to make any sort of a threatening move here afterwards. And cross-map, guess what? GP's being zoned off his tower. The Herald is dropped, so Huni's going to get some gold in his pockets here, try to stay relevant in this matchup. He had been down a good 30 CS, but Finn has actually been effectively zoned off the wave for a while now, so that gap is actually closing pretty effectively here for Huni and TSM, as they're going to grab even a tier 2.
So good. Again, worth more gold, so big boost to TSM's coffers there, up 2,300 gold. CLG going to look to equalize a bit and take out this tower, so they'll cut that lead down by maybe about 1,000 here as the dust settles, but still looking good for TSM as they're approaching that 2K lead and continuing to bolster that early game.
Absolutely. And the critical thing is they haven't dropped any dragons yet, right? They're moving towards that 3rd dragon. They're up in gold and they're up in dragons. And that just generally means you're outplaying your opponents pretty hard. Usually in a very evenly matched game, it's a trade. One team is kind of meant to get Herald. One team is trying to control topside, take plates. They're up in gold. Then being up in gold and down on dragons, you challenge at the 3rd Drake. You try to stop them there. TSM kind of got both, right? They got the Heralds, they got the Dragons, they're up in gold, they're winning lanes, they've taken early towers. So TSM definitely outplaying in the early minutes here against CLG. And if they can grab this next Dragon at 17 minutes, they're going to be threatening a soul around 22, 23, which is pretty rough. Because as much as you have a lot of peel, like a souped up Olaf he's going to have his Nikes on, he's got the Ocean Soul, he pops the Ragnarok, you are not peeling that man off the Aphelios, except with maybe a Lantern.
CLG are actually just giving it up. They're going to try and get some gold here in the top lane. Finn already took the top lane outer alongside Demonte. Huni here to scoop up the wave, but Power of Evil already took an outer in bottom side, so call that even as far as gold goes. And that Dragon Stack continues. The Speaker is going to finish off that soul, that 3rd Drake, and that soul is very close.
It is. Hunting for that 23-minute soul. We'll see if they're going to be able to grab it here. Speaker just taking over the jungle. He's very far ahead of Brox right now. He has 2 kills. He's up 20 farm. He's taken more towers. So very difficult for Brox to actually really contest him in any sort of these 1v1 situations. We can see Demonte is trying to move to support his jungler. That was the duo he really wanted to play around. But because Speaker got so far ahead, because Power of Evil has been doing really well in the 1v1, the farm disadvantage mid lane is becoming a pretty big problem. We've been seeing Demonte, constantly moving around the map, constantly trying to support his team, but it has been at the expense of his farm, and honestly, because of Power of Evil, just kind of straight up outlaning him as well. When you build this more supportive style, your 1v1 is weaker as a result too.
And Power of Evil definitely made his presence felt in those lanes. TSM, though, now busy fending off the incoming 4v2 here in mid, but CLG unfortunately cannot stick around too long here. In fact, Sorta even off to the side, potentially threatening a player alongside the Orianna, but CLG popped the battle song and run away. Definitely stuck in a very small map for themselves. You pointed out already with, you know, what access you get with the mid lane, where the mid lane has to play a lot safer. The arrows you drew conveniently were basically from the 2 different objective pits into the mid lane, which kind of demonstrates the other thing that having that mid outer does for you. Gives you so much access to the objectives that both teams want.
I mean, one of the easiest ways, I think, to get insight into kind of who's controlling the game is deep vision, you know, and really the only cross-map ward that there is for CLG is this one up here. You know, TSM has one ward here. They have this kind of line of vision here. They've been clearing out pink. They've been constantly pushing and invading. And as a result, they've been kind of controlling both sides of the map largely, which is making it very difficult for CLG to move out. I mean, look at how Finn is playing, right? You know, he doesn't feel safe down there. They've kind of lost control over some of that pathing, and with TSM showing top, Brox could be in trouble too.
Oh, nice little dive there. Brock's going to be forced to ulti. Now got a flash out of the way. Does get to safety. But TSM continuing to take over different parts of the map. That is blue buff now over to Speaker. He's even taking the Grump out as well. The man is power jungling in the enemy jungle at 20 minutes.
Yep, he's going to farm it all. It's all his jungle now.
Finn, good shockwave there from PoE.
Oh, you're in trouble.
A little bit more damage. W's not enough. Flash Q, do it. Oh, nice flash from Finn. Power of Evil, though, holds on to his summoner.
Yep, going to be able to hold on to that flash, forcing out there from Finn. Nicely done from Power of Evil. It is the Serpent's Fang, which I think is very effective when you're looking at Sterix, when you're looking at Shield Bow, Rakan shielding, Tom Kench Grey Health, the shield from Orianna. Like, this is a high-value purchase, but you are squishy. And as a result, he's going to have to be pretty careful here against PoE, not having the flash on Broxton, not having the flash on Finn for this next dragon fight that is going to be the sole fight is very concerning. The armor starting to come through for Huni as well. He's got the tabbies, he's got the bramble. And second item done now for Power of Evil. So TSM is really going to be ready to go. Spica has been a monster so far this game, and he's got his 2 items completed. And man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for CLG to actually win out in this fight. It pretty much needs to be a perfect disengage on the initial attempt from TSM. And if you can kind of kite back, avoid the Orianna Shockwave, then maybe this Lulu buffed up Aphelios can get something done.
And it's assuming you even like get close to get some vision. A Speaker is actually going to pull the trigger on the fight at Sorta, trying to make it happen. Finn, though, going to be caught around the side. No flash from earlier, and that's an easy cleanup for the Olaf.
And they're TPing in, but it's a 5v4. And TSM didn't really commit that much. They still have the Shockwave. They still have this Kalista ulti as well to send him in.
Huni, yes! There we go! There's the Shockwave off the dive! Speaker's on a rampage. He takes down one. Orianna is going to grab the second. It's just delivery systems galore. Call the post office as Huni's chasing down Devontae.
It's the Kench wave, the Frog wave coming through. Huni and Power of Evil teaming up. They make the combo happen there. And TSM, not only do they kill them off here, they're going to get Baron and still have time to probably get back and look for the soul as well. They are slamming CLG here, looking to secure top spot in the LCS regular season.
Win number 30 on the horizon for the regular season across the year, of course. Thumbs up across the board as the Red Bull Baron buff is claimed. And we'll watch this one again. It's just delightful.
Yep, no vision. This is again the problem here. Instantly going in on Finn. Remember, they know he has no flash because that has been forced out. So it's an easy chase down there. Plus the GP ulti is committed. We know that they can look for the re-engage. And honestly, it's just about Huni here. Linked up, W's in, right on top. Multiple members knocked up. The Aphelios gets caught, not able to flash it. Didn't see it coming, and he gets deleted. TSM get everything. They took the Baron. They're getting the soul. This game is over, CLG fans.
Yep. TSM just looking to put the finishing touches. That will be the Cloud Soul finished up as expected. TSM still with 2 minutes left on this Baron to play with. And plenty of towers to knock down as well. Huni, no TP, is just pushing top lane. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, they like their odds in the 4v5 probably at this point. I just think Olaf is going to be such a menace. He almost has the GA. And I'm just waiting for Olaf to actually get sped up by Power of Evil, pop the ulti with the Cloud Soul, and run down this Lulu who's without flash. It's going to be so incredibly hard for CLG to actually survive the dive from TSM.
Sort of taking some damage, but Not too much, so just a bit of GP poke there. Make it 2 towers dead here in the mid and bottom side. Huni working on sinking those waves into the top side of the map, as well as TSM are assaulting CLG's inhibitors. In fact, Speaker down there alongside the Tom Cantus. Huni's going to dive away. Does get some damage done to that tower, but TSM have plenty of time still to claim at least one of these inhibitors plus their tower, you have to think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's taking 3 members there from CLG to just answer the 2. They still have Lost pushing mid lane, so CLG trying to hard engage.
Rocks are popping the ulti. Huni pretty tanky, but how tanky is tanky? Not tanky enough! Kench is going to fall as Turtle's going to get that kill, but it will cost them the bottom side inhib.
007, Huni going down, ruining the score. It's a tragedy, but they do get the inhibitor in the trade. They're pushing mid, they're pushing top. Baron minions being escorted in, and they can still threaten a dive here. We're sort of looking for the wraparound with that key GP as well as Xin Zhao ultimates down. They are not really that worried. Oh, Broxa!
That almost kills him. Nice shockwave again from Power of Evil. He's just so fed, man. That didn't have item 3. Smoothie ate 1 QW combo, and his life bar disappeared before my eyes as TSM, 20 seconds left on the Baron, are going to bust through mid. And Ragnarok away. Cloudstone to the rescue. Oh, gravity, not enough. Turtle, I think maybe he was running out of range. I don't remember if Gravity Gun has a range limit at all. PoE's even going to TP back, finish off the Seraphs, and try and finish off this inhib. Looks like they're not going to get it, but TSM will be very happy with that Baron.
Yeah, they really extended the gold lead a lot here. Win about plus 4,000 during that Red Bull Baron. Going to be heading back to base, spending up the gold, completing these additional items, and getting prepared to just close out the game. I mean, Speaker should definitely have GA gold. We'll see how much Lost has on top. We already see the Seraphs has completed for Power of Evil. He grabbed a stopwatch on top of that. Yeah, Speaker finishes GA and buys another stopwatch, so you're really just not at risk. And with that big of a gold lead, with those luxury items coming through, you can afford to just kind of dive with Reckless Abandon here and look to close this game out.
Now, Huni at it again. Top side is getting the way pushing. Does have teleport this time. Rageblade also done for Lost, so 3 items finished for the Callista. Wait a second. All right, TSM on top of the LCS perhaps, but it's going to be a while. Now that's a statement that I feel like we can all get behind.
Spica has been smurfing. He's been smurfing hard. I think Closer fans will be quick to put up their finger.
Too.
Blabber fans maybe less likely this split. I think Spica, it's less controversial to say, you know, has had a better split. He has been really showing how good he is. I think he's been the standout player for TSM this year, and this is a guy who has been improving by leaps and bounds. He's a very young player.
Defending LCS champion. Speaker, not yet, I guess. Not from last one, but the one before.
Yeah.
Looking to make the run back there. Speaker, the only member of that team, I think is what I was trying to get to. As once again, Brox are going to try and make it happen, but TSM too far ahead. Hit him with the sacks of money. Huni seemingly not dying there as Sorta is going to dash back in. In fact, Huni, his hubris will cost him. Turtle finds the kills. They do get the inhib. Great flash out of Turtle as well for the incoming shockwave, and Turtle's not done. Chucking the chakrams in towards Lost. His Power of Evil is going to slow them down, and TSM re-engage perhaps. Sorta, no ulti, dodges the hook, goes back in, Smoothie the target. That should be an easy pickup, but he flashes out of the way. The ignite is there. Fate's call is enough as Speaker chucks the axe in to finish off that kill, and TSM, you know, Huni making it interesting at the end of the game, but Turtle is going to get crushed by the rest of TSM thanks to Sword Art's engage, and they look to finish this game.
Yeah, the Nexus turret already down to about 1 hit. Sword Art is dancing in their faces, and Spica still has his ulti, and Power of Evil almost has his again. It's going to be such a tough hold. I don't think CLG can do it.
All right, well, TSM.
Shockwave's available.
1 tower left, TP back through for Huni, who has found himself alive once more. And TSM just going to barrel through this. I mean, CLG just don't have enough gold, don't have enough people, don't have enough nothing to try and defend this push. PoE will go unstoppable. The B will be flown up. The double hook comes out for PoE. Everyone's yeeting into the fountain out of TSM. And they're going to try and maybe grab the aces. Huni will not get himself killed because TSM will take down the Nexus.
TSM securing first place here in Summer. So well done from them, making it look easy against CLG. The early game plays here, I think for Speak in particular, were very, very good, and TSM did a great job of taking over enemy territory. Power of Evil punishing the roam early from Demonte so heavily, getting so far ahead, honestly, on this Orianna, and just really looking like he was in his comfort zone, start to finish. Like this guy from ahead on control mages, it's a done deal.
I'm pretty sure off the top of my head that that's probably his most played champion of his career. Like I would
think
shocked
so.
if it was anything
It's like
else.
most people's.
Yes,
Orianna.
it's definitely Jensen's. I'm pretty sure it's Bjergsen's. Although he's played a lot of Syndra.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a really smart spot where they took it in the draft, as you highlighted.
Yeah.
Basically built around it in phase 2, and as soon as that top play didn't work out for CLG, the game felt like TSM couldn't lose.
Absolutely. I mean, they lost a little bit of laning power with Rakan versus maybe what the Leona would have given them, but like, who cares? You know, probably Orianna would have been banned out, Azir or something would have been banned out, and then maybe you're put into a control mage that doesn't fit the composition as well. So I thought the draft was really smart from TSM. The play was really good, and they just absolutely ran over CLG. It looked like first versus 10th, and that's what it was.
Certainly was. Now, we'll stay that way as TSM do lock up first. We're heading into a break, but on the other side, Tigris is going to be talking with first place seeded speaker. As we go, we're going to get a sneak peek of next level with our very own Tigris, 100 Thieves closer, Voyboy, and more. We'll see you there, nerds.
I was pretty much like the youngest person that was like playing professionally, like in the scene. It was like me and like Pobelter basically, and I was like playing like every tournament, like back 2010, 11, 2012. So I was kind of like the youngster of like the scene, and everyone would always be like, oh, it's like the young prodigy, like oh. When I would like pop off, make a play, or like win a game, it'd be like, oh, it's the boy, and then that turned to like, it's the kid, like, oh, it's like Jimmy Neutron, like all these like tangents that would just like go off and stuff. And then if I would like make a really great escape or something like that, or like a big play, I started saying like "see you nerds," and then people started like repeating it and like saying it more, and like it became kind of like an unofficial like catchphrase. And then eventually like people would just like I would be at like an LCS event, or I'd meet a fan and he's like, hey Void, like, can you say like "see you nerds"? And then I would just be there like, I'd be like, "see you nerds," like, and then they'd be like, yeah.
And an honor and a privilege. I will never act intolerant or ignorant. I aspire to the
I don't blow in the dark. I make people decide if they see me or not. If they see me or not. I don't glow in the dark. I make people decide. Taking shots in the dark. You gon' slip on the slide. Don't play it safe, I don't hesitate. Don't hold me back, I'ma handle it. This ain't a match, we so different. I run the score, you just kicking it. Most of the shots that you shooting, you miss. All of the shots I be getting the end. Look at me now and look at my grip. Look at me now and look at my grip. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I will the vibe that don't last. I don't never turn to plastic. I'm on a mission with passion. Gonna driving me on bad. I'm sick when you ass slick. Rick with the whip, Fendi fashion. Bitch, don't pretend when I'm lashing. Cause I never lit in the past tense. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look I don't blow in the dark. I make people decide if they see me or not. If they see me or not. I don't glow in the dark. I make people decide. Taking shots in the dark. You gon' slip, I'ma slide. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Welcome back to the LCS. It is our last Verizon post-game interview of the day. We've got TSM Spica. TSM has officially locked first place. Tell me, give me a raw reaction.
I mean, it's sick. I don't know what to say. I think this is, I remember this is like the first time TSM has locked in first in the regular season for a while, right? Like, I believe I saw that last time it was like 2017.
Yeah, even last year when you were playing in playoffs, right? It was that run where you're having to earn it with every single series that you went through.
Yeah.
What does this do for your mentality to be able to go into playoffs knowing that you've had the security from such a superb regular season?
I mean, it's definitely really nice, just have a bye. You you are one game away from Worlds, right? Or one series away. But I think, what's really important is just not to be complacent because, like we saw last year, anything could happen. Like, even though a team might not be doing well in the regular split, they could, amp up for playoffs and do really well. So I think we just got to focus on what we've been doing, just keep improving. And I think we'll do great.
Yeah, it's not just about not being complacent. It's about being comfortable as a team and looking playoff ready. I know that we're still figuring out things with the meta. It's been making these shifts. But one of the biggest notes is the fact that Control Mage is coming back in. Guess who's comfortable on those? It's PoE. How do you all feel with all these changes? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I think PoE is definitely I feel it's like the best Control Mage player in LCS. So I take those. I think he plays them really, really well. I think it's going to be really good for our team going to playoffs.
Speaking a bit about your level of play, though, I'm sure you've heard by now that your name has come up in the conversations about Honda MVP. You have been extremely consistent for TSM. So I want to know, first, if there is anyone on your team that you would recognize to also be up for the honor, but also what you think your greatest area of improvement has been that's allowed you to perform this way.
Well, I mean, I think Huni has been playing really, really well. I think, in the beginning of Split, even towards the middle, we were playing around him a lot. The famous Korean Jace, I think he's like the best Jace players in LCS. He always carries when he's on the champ, so I think he's been performing really, really well. And I think just the biggest difference is just consistency. I think, and just being a leader. I think this Split I've just indexed a lot into like shot calling, letting my teammate know what I need and what they should be doing. And I think that's why we've been doing a lot better and looking more cohesive.
Yeah, we joked at the beginning of the year about how you're the veteran of TSM despite being so young in your career yourself. So it's great to see that development. I do want to know, though, because obviously you know that anyone can make a run for the title despite whatever their performance was in the regular season. Who do you consider to be the top teams that you are most worried about for that title contention?
I think right now I feel like, honestly, all the like top 5 teams, like 100 Thieves, EG, C9 has been doing really, really well recently, and TL just got Centurion back, and they've been playing a lot better. So I think honestly, any of these top teams can make it. And personally, I would say C9 is probably like the hardest one to play against for me.
C9 and a lot of those other squads keeping everybody on their toes, but you and the rest of the TSM players keeping TSM fans happy. Spica, thank you so much for stopping by for this interview.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're going to wrap things up here in the Verizon post-game interview and send things right back on over to the State Farm analyst desk to close out the day.
Thank you very much, Tigress. TSM is officially our top team in Summer Split heading into the postseason with that victory there over CLG. Great to hear from Spica. As Tigress mentioned, very much one of the names at the forefront of that MVP conversation. But I think, and as we were kind of just discussing off camera, I do think this is going to be one of the most difficult All-Pro votes and MVP votes we've ever had.
Yeah, because if you look at the length of the split, 100 Thieves have been dominant for so long, right? If you ask yourself who the best mid laner is, people would still say Abadaga. You look towards the Evil Geniuses players that's been consistent throughout the full split. I know they'll be getting votes across the board as well. So, like, I know that I would be looking at Spica, but everybody will be looking at the Fudges and the EGs of the world.
Well, I made this point before. I'll make it again. I think Spica's going to run away with it.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, you know, the value of being on the first place team and being the guy who's been most consistent all split through the ups and downs and having a recent pop-off performance like this just means that everyone else is going to be splitting votes and Spica's going to be taking the lion's share.
Well, in this game, it did seem all business for TSM, which is what you want to see near the end of a split, even in an expected victory against the 10th place team in a position where you've already locked the bye, but not necessarily the first seed.
Yeah.
They went out there, they got it done, they did it in a rather clean fashion. It excites me for a TSM that generally as an organization only gets better when we move to best of fives.
Hell yeah. I remember the ages of Bjergsen and Doublelift playing it out, and they were having a rough regular season. And it feels like TSM in the regular season, people will always pin question mark on, but you get to the playoffs, best of fives, they scale. And I think that I've already loved how Power of Evil is playing, how Sword Art's playing. Huni, I think, is for sure a top two, top laner right now in the league. And then if you bring in what you see in Spica every day, then for sure, you have to put respect on the name.
Right. I mean, like Spica was saying, out of the top 5 teams, no offense to Dignitas or anything like that, like, I think those 5 teams are very close to each other in strength, especially when it comes to best of 5. It'll really test these players' champions pools. Like, you'll see people right now that are batting out Chizuke. They're doing, like, a Rise, a blind target bag on him, and he seems a lot weaker when he's on those champions. But you can also do the same to a lot of different players, right? Like, if you go to PoE, for example, if you ban Orianna, Cassiopeia, or 0, or 2 to 3, he'll be on a different champion. Like, maybe he'll play Lucian or something. And generally, from what we've seen historically, his Lucian isn't as strong as control mages. So when we get to that best of 5 setting, you'll really see these players start to struggle with their champion pools, and I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, and I think this is where TSM's preparation in terms of trying to prepare multiple playstyles over the course of the split is going to start to pay off. Because they've been playing, we talked about this off-camera, Raz, out of meta, right? And experimenting in meta.
Yeah.
Whereas other teams have been playing in meta and experimenting out of meta. Now the meta's moving toward TSM, right? And there's more mage viability from the mid lane. So
Syndra,
this is
Cassio.
right. This is like the perfect moment for them to be spiking.
Yeah, and I mean, they've gotten so much better around playing around mid. So, like, support and jungle have been doing a great job. This game, I thought, Huni and Spica do a damn good job all split long of being able to get Spica topside when waves pushing, into Huni, so they can always set up for a gank. So, like, this is a consistent thing they can set up.
Right. I like also that you called out Huni's Jace. I definitely agree with him. I don't like very many Jaces. Huni's Jace, I approve of. He actually knows how to split push effectively. You'll see him like pushing waves and pressuring and making people reply to him rather than him always grouping for the fights. Because, like, yeah, Jace can group and like poke and try to win out that way, or he can alternately just end the game like split pushing and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I like his Jace. I like their playstyle. I like that they secretly got a buff before playoffs happened. I don't know who at Riot did that. There must be a TSM patent, but they should be really strong.
Yeah, that must be it. It must be somebody shadow buffing for the sake of TSM.
Even without the patch changes coming through, like, TSM solidified not only that they're just the #1 team in the standings, that they're just the #1 team in the LCS right now. Yeah. And it's going to be based off of teams getting better going into playoffs as per usual. That's going to unseat them. So 100 Thieves has a lot to talk about, going into playoffs. Cloud9 has a lot to talk about going into playoffs. Team Liquid only really just got into, their full 5 lineup, right? So there's a lot of teams are going to be triple scrimming just to, like, get informed because TSM is already there.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at those standings that you mentioned because without a doubt, and very deservedly so, TSM is our first seed in playoffs. We got
Hail the
Kings.
Kings.
They're locked into second as a result just behind them, but both getting a bye. Now, we've also got a 3-way tie for third between Cloud9, Evil Geniuses, and Team Liquid, and that rounds out that top 5 that you're talking about, High, which all seems very competitive. Do not forget, though, that Dignitas still in that upper bracket with the 6th seed. Immortals locked into playoffs, but will start with the single elimination when it comes to the lower bracket, and then it's all about that race for 8th between FlyQuest and Golden Guardians.
Yeah, and I think that race for 8th just got a lot more interesting as of today. I think on the desk we were talking about FlyQuest, this change to the mid and jungle feeling kind of disruptive, and why not just stick to the 5? But
we'll eat our words there a little bit.
Yeah, they shut us up. Right?
They did.
Yeah, that was a really, really incredible performance, and the 2 players of the game, I would say, were Palafox and Jose Diodo. So the race for 8th just heated up.
And they did it on Yone, and that makes High a fan. Tomorrow, CLG must bring down FlyQuest, though, if Golden Guardians want a chance at playoffs. with Golden Guardians then having to win their match against the already locked Immortals. So two things have to happen, and unfortunately for the Golden Guardians, they are not in control of their own destiny in that sense. It does require FlyQuest to fall in that 5th and final game of the day. The rest of the day, just some cool playoff kind of preview matchups, I think, in that sense, right? You're going to have a TSM who's now locked into first up against a Dignitas, so you get a very kind of disparate look of what the upper bracket will look like. But then from there, Team Liquid, Cloud9, and 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, those are some tight matchups.
Yeah, this is actually a super fun schedule. I'm curious to see how some of the top teams approach this. Now that the standings are relatively fixed, I could see two minds of it. I could see, hey, okay, this is a valuable stage game. We want to try something new. Or I could see the mindset of, hey, I actually want to hide and just go back to what people expect from us and try to just play what we're comfortable with so we can get the good morale win.
I think the comfortable thing is needed because a lot of teams, a lot of the top teams still feel like there are points in the game where they're not on the same page. So like using stage games for that, super needed. Team Liquid versus Cloud9 is gonna be another banger. Because just imagine, coming into this week, like not a lot of people were riding that TL horse. It's like, not a train, we're on that blue horse. And like, you bring in Santorin and they have Stomp on day 1, Stomp on day 2 versus Evil Geniuses, and then now going into day 3, if they take down Cloud9 in an emphatic fashion, that's the matchup to watch where now you just have all the Team Liquid fans come out of nowhere. Just out of every nook and crevice just to say, oh, I had faith in them all.
Is that where the Team Liquid fans hide?
Yep.
In nooks and crevices?
Yep. You got to search every nook.
And if they win tomorrow, it's giddy up.
I hate this. I'm getting us out. Let's go home. That's going to do it from us here on the LCS. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow for more LCS as we close out the regular split. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other.
Well, I won't take my on the hotel road.
Quick, mute it before DMCA.
Yeah.